Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a hot minute. Welcome. If you're new here, hi, I'm Chidera. So in this video I'm going to be sharing how my Igbo Nigerian parents accepted or finally accepted my Ghanaian husband. I'm Igbo Nigerian, married to a Ghanaian man. I'm a little over 10 months married, and it was quite a journey going from dating to having my parents and family accept our relationship and then proceeding to marriage. So just a bit of a backstory, I also struggled with the idea of being married to a Ghanaian. I actually fought it with every single thing in me. I have a video where I shared on ways I tried to end this relationship to ensure that it didn't, lead up to marriage, because I couldn't imagine not being married to a Nigerian. It will be linked up, I think here or here, I can't remember where, but it will be linked up so you can check out that video first and then you comment, because that will give you a bit of context so you understand that it wasn't just even like my family that were not accepting of it at first. Even me myself, I struggled with accepting it. So while we're having that chit chat, we're going to make a smoothie. I want to make a blueberry smoothie, so that's what I'll be doing, and at the same time I'll be gisting you all. So let's get right into it. So the very first thing, when we started dating, when I started dating my husband, I remember hinting it to my mom, because I usually talk to my mom first, or I just find it easier to talk to my mom first about man problems. So I told my mom that, oh, there's this person I'm seeing, he's Ghanaian and I'm thinking it's serious. So the first time I told my mom, she's like, okay, she just shrugged it off like, yeah. She didn't think it was that serious, because obviously it was the first time I was bringing him up. So that was the first thing. So eventually, I think my dad also got hinted about it that, oh, there's a Ghanaian man I'm seeing, and he also was like, let's see how it goes. So I met my husband on an online dating app, and we dated for like a few months long distance, because we met during the lockdown. So eventually I had to leave the UK because I came in as a student. My visa was expiring, I had to leave the UK and were to do proper long distance with him being in the UK and me being in Nigeria. And at that point, I was really worried about our relationship. Will it survive like the long distance? And when I was moving back to Nigeria, I think my parents, both of them were like, they felt like me moving back to Nigeria, this whole dating a Ghanaian thing is going to just die naturally, because the distance, maybe our relationship will not survive. Not like they're wishing me ill, but it's just like it was kind of like expected, that maybe when I come back home, this whole thing would stop, and maybe I'll meet a Nigerian man in Nigeria, something like that. But then, as God will have it, when I moved to Nigeria, our relationship waxed stronger. Every other month I'll call my mom and I'll be like, oh, this guy is still in the picture and is getting really serious. Eventually, I think when it got real was when I now told my parents that I might want to marry this person. It was at that point that it got real, and you're like, no, you can't be serious. I'm like, no, I'm serious. I want to marry this person, or I might be marrying this Ghanaian person. Even though I had said that, they were still like, I think there was more denial. I also went through that phase. They were just in denial that it's not real. So what made it very real was when Jason came to Nigeria for the first time. So he came all the way from the UK to Nigeria, came to Abuja, and then we went by train to Kaduna, where my parents were residing. And we went to see my parents. And I remember when my dad finally saw him in person, it just became real. My dad's like, okay, this is about to go down. Because prior to that time, I had never brought any man home. I had never really even told my dad about any other man. So for me to bring this man home, my dad just knew, okay, this girl is actually serious about this. And my parents were also confused how I went from, because prior to that year, which was 2021, every time they bring up marriage, I'm like, I beg, I know what, I beg, but I don't want to hear it. I'm not getting married. Marriage is not my agenda. I want to make money. So they were so surprised when I started talking about marriage with this person, and they're like, why do I want to marry this person? What's the difference? Like, why all of a sudden I'm so interested in marriage? They couldn't understand it. And I think he had like a conversation with my parents that day. I think they asked a couple questions, and yeah, so that was the first hurdle, just getting them to accept that this is actually happening. So I just have some blueberries here. After that time that Jason came to Nigeria, I remember my mom having a conversation with me afterwards. I think she realized it was time to sit me down and ask me questions, and she was just concerned. And now that I think about it, I actually understood their fears and their concerns. So she had to ask me, am I serious about this person? And that why do I feel like I want to marry him? And I kept telling her that because I feel peace about it every time I think about it, and I can actually see my life with this person. So after the conversation, I think she kind of, let me say, for acceptance, my mom was like on 20% acceptance. She was the one that did not accept it for the longest time. My dad, when he eventually accepted it, he did. But my mom, it was like a gradual progression. It was like gradually, as my relationship was waxing stronger, she was realizing that this relationship is here to stay. So I have some frozen banana in a Ziploc. So I'm just going to take that out and chop it Oh, you can't see here. I need to get my camera. Anyway, I'm chopping this up a bit in slices so I can put it in the... Ow, that is frozen. I'm just putting the bananas into the blender. So fast forward, eventually in October, so Jason came to Nigeria in April thereabouts. So fast forward to October, I had to go to Ghana, and in Ghana Jason proposed to me. And at that point my mom just knew this, like that was when I think she now had like 80% acceptance of the whole thing. So this coconut water, just putting that in. So ideally I should use Greek yogurt for this, but I'm using plain natural yogurt. And thank you. So some more frozen blueberries, some strawberries as well. So I'll just put in, let me rinse it. I'll just put in some strawberries. Last, I'm gonna add some chia seeds, 1 tablespoon going in. Yeah, so mint leaves. I'm just gonna put a few sprigs, or yeah, just like 3 or 4. So let me just rinse that out. That's fine. So put that in. During the time that Jason proposed to me, my mom finally accepted it. And then one other thing that she did, which I think was good, was that she also sought counsel, because she was worried about me getting married to a Ghanaian and how I'll be far away from home. She sought guidance, right? And then one of the things that stemmed out of her conversation with these persons was that, oh, it could be worse. My parents had always been concerned, like low-key, like, will I get married? Because I'm always like, I don't care about marriage and stuff like that. So this person has to remind my mom that, shouldn't you be grateful that this girl that you've been like thinking, oh, will she get married or not? And then now she's like, oh, she wants to get married. Does it matter that this person is Ghanaian? That what if I had brought a Chinese man that lives in China? What would they do? That I had studied in the UK, the chances that I was going to meet someone other than my nationality is high. That's so they should just accept that I am actually happy to marry this person, and I love this person, and this person loves me. Like that, like they were just like, the conversation just made my mom realize that a person's nationality or tribe is not really the main thing if we're looking at what makes a marriage successful. And now what I want to highlight here is the reason why my parents were having a hard time accepting this is because of their concerns. Now the first concern is they're worried about culture, right? So they don't know Ghanaian culture, they know Igbo culture, and that's why they wanted me to, if like ideally they would have liked that I marry an Igbo person, Nigerian Igbo person, if possible, say from my village. And the reason is just because of culture, because they are aware of the culture, they know what to expect, right? They know where I'm going into. But me marrying a Ghanaian is a terrain they don't know. We did not, like in my family, there's nobody that has really married out of Nigeria, so this was like new waters and they did not know what to expect. I remember when I went to Ghana, my dad had to ask me that, advising his people that I should ask questions about different traditions, I should ask this, I should ask that. That's just because that's what his worry was. Like I'm sending, like he's like, oh, I want to send my daughter all the way to Ghana to live with these people and I don't really know their culture that much. I think that was the first major concern that my parents had. Now the second concern that my parents had, which is more my mom, is just me being far away from them. So if you're not Igbo, the first daughter of a family is called Ada, like the first daughter, and generally the Ada has like traditional responsibilities that are placed on her in terms of even looking after the family and having like traditional roles to play in the family. So my mom was concerned, like with me, her Ada, having to be far away from family, like what would that look like how can they reach me, like if something is happening to me, how can they easily come over, you know? Because if I was in Nigeria, for example, I married a Nigerian man, they can easily go to the family's house of the man that I'm married to inquire about what's going on, stuff like that. The fact that my husband's base or my husband's family is going to be in a different country, how would they easily access these people? That was another concern they had, you know. So their concerns were literally valid, because if you think about it, it's actually scary not knowing what to expect, like the uncertainty of it, and just knowing that, oh, is your child going to be safe? Is your child going to be comfortable in this new place they are going to? Like I said, it wasn't just about him being Ghanaian. It's more like, even if it was any other nationality outside of Nigeria, I feel like these concerns will still be there. Even if the person was Yoruba, they will still have slight concerns, but maybe not as much as him being from another nationality. Another thing that Jason and I did during this period, when we were like trying to get my parents on board to just fully accept it, was also praying a lot. So we prayed a lot on our end, just like, God, if this is meant to be, which we think it is because of the peace we have and the assurance we have, let everything align. Let my parents accept it. Like, let it not be a thing of, we want to get married, they're like, no, they can't accept it. So we did a lot of resetting in the spiritual as well. We did a lot of praying, and as God, we have a day accepted the marriage. I think my dad accepted it when I came back home from Ghana, and I'm like, yo, this is my ring, I'm getting married to this man. And my father was like, are you serious? And I think in that time, finally, so I went back to Abuja after the trip, and then I left Abuja and went to where my parents were based. And I can remember my dad calling me into the bedroom and just having that heart-to-heart conversation with me, because he's never actually spoken to me about like men stuff. And he was just like asking me, Ada, because that's what he calls me. It's like, Ada, are you sure that this is the man you want to marry? Because you're going to be so far away. We don't know anything about these people. Are you sure like this is what you want? And then eventually when I convinced him that yes, I'm certain that I want to marry this person, my dad just said something. He was like, okay, that's it. He has accepted it. But that one thing he'll say is, if it's God's will, everything will align. Like, he's not fighting this anymore. If it's God's will, everything will align. So what we're going to be praying for now is just for God's will to be done, and everything will fall into place. But if it's in terms of accepting it, that he has accepted it, because at the end of the day, he's not the one that is going to live with me in this marriage. It's me, and then I'm the one who's going to decide who I marry. So all he can do is advise. So they voiced their concerns to me, and if I still feel like I want to proceed with this, then it's fine. I have their blessings and they'll go ahead to do this. And I think at that point I just felt so relieved. Like, there's no point dragging this. Like, my parents are on board with me and we're going to push through with this. So that's all done. I'll dish it out in a minute just to wrap up this video. So it was also around this time of the whole proposal thing, we also started, like, we had started counseling, I think, before I traveled to Ghana. Yes, we had started counseling before I traveled to Ghana when he proposed. And then also, I think during this counseling time, my parents also got to meet Jason's parents for the first time, because they had to join us on a Zoom, because our counseling was virtual. So they had to join on the call to like also tell the pastors that they approve and they give their consent. And that's when my parents met Jason's parents online for the first time. And then also after the proposal, when my dad had finally accepted this whole thing, next thing was deciding the wedding date. So I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden I just really wanted to be married. I was tired of the long distance. I just wanted to be with Jason. Like, I was tired of him being far, me being in Nigeria. And we both decided that, okay, we're going to get married in November. And so literally he proposed in October. I'm saying that I want to get married by the end of November. So when I told my parents, my dad was like, I know I've accepted this thing, but why are you now rushing? Like, what's the rush about? Like, why do I want to get married so quick? Like, they just proposed to me. I want to marry the next month. What's happening? And my mom was like, that they can't pull off a wedding in that short a time. But there are so many things that needs to be done, even traditionally, like who to inform, all these people they have to inform, all of that. And I'm like, me, nothing like that. I want to get married in November. That is it. Want to marry. Now thinking about it, I don't even know why I was rushing. And of course, if you are Nigerian, you know this question will come up at some point. So my dad had to ask me. He was like, are you pregnant? Even though he knew I can't be pregnant, which is actually a very crazy thing. He knew I could not be pregnant. But he asked me if I'm pregnant because he don't understand why I'm rushing. You know, because if I'm pregnant, maybe I want to get married before the pregnancy becomes obvious. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then they're like, no, you can't rush it like that. So we had to go back to the drawing board. Eventually we picked December. The dates we were picking were not feasible. A lot of things came up. Oh God, it was a lot. Well, finally, we now fixed the whole thing for January 2021. And that was how we got married. And that's it. Thinking about it, I don't think I had so much of a struggle with my parents, which I'm really grateful for, because they were like open-minded about it. But then why I'm sharing this is that, like, just to shed some light on how difficult it can be for parents to accept that their child wants to marry someone of a different nationality, like the worries and the concerns they will have. Because never in my life did I think I would end up with someone who is not Nigerian, and just having to navigate all of that and getting my family on board. Even my extended family, eventually when they heard he was Ghanaian, I remember my parents being called and like, oh, what is this I'm hearing? Is a Ghanaian person. Why does she want to marry a Ghanaian? What happened to Igbo people? Or what happened to Nigerians? Are you sure you want her to go that far? You know, all of those concerns kept coming up, and I think so many concerns kept coming up, and I'm just so grateful that my parents were actually like strong in their resolve, like, yeah, because once my dad got on board, he was ready to like face anybody. So anything that came up, he was like, yes, she's marrying a Ghanaian, this is what she wants, we're doing this, you know. So there were a lot of things I can't share online anyway that went down with the traditional rites and how it was much of a struggle. But because my dad was fully on board, he could put his foot down and just ensure that the wedding went through. Yeah, I can't share those things online, but yeah, I'm just so grateful that they were on board, and I didn't have to do much struggle. And also God just really like worked out the whole thing, because we were really concerned on how to get our parents to accept. Apart from that, but because I can only speak for myself, even Jason on his end, I knew that his family also had concerns with me being Nigerian, and you know, everyone just has ideologies of different people, just like you have ideas of who Ghanaians are, you have ideas of what Nigerians are like and stuff like that. But yeah, I can only speak for myself, so it wasn't like a walk in the park trying to get all parties to agree, but God did it. And if you're watching this, God will do it for you. Say amen. God will do it for you if you're dating someone outside your nationality and you're finding it difficult to get your family on board. God will do it for you. Okay, so that's all for this video. Let's just dish this out and that's it. It's so thick. Yep, that's it. I'll just put some blueberries on the top for the toppings, and then I have like a mint sprig. I have a mint sprig here. We just put it up here, and that's it. It looks cute. Let me show you. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. It was just a chill story time, just to let you know how things went behind the scenes. Till next time, bye bye.